Now we're going to talk about the cream team, Tom.
Daryl's team.
Daryl's team. 600 to 1 pre-draft, 400 to 1 post-draft. Absolutely no shot with the odds. He is one of the last place teams. His timeline shows ninth place, 12, 13, 11. So he's been at the bottom of the league almost the whole season. Just really no sense to his moves. He hasn't gotten anything out of the free agent market. I mean, unless you want to say Joaquin Benoit, which was recently 3-4 moves a week. Just no thought behind it. We always talk about Daryl with the Daryl-itis syndrome. Joe Saunders, Franklin Gutierrez, Brandon Crawford, John Garland,
Chris
Juan
Young.
Pierre, Chris Young, Will Venable, Carlos Marmo,
Ryan Howard,
Josh Reddick.
Adam Dunn.
But these are the pickups, the added players that he tried. So
There are people that Daryl has stuck with throughout the years, Ian Kennedy being one of them. He just can't seem to not have him on his team. Daryl's team is very weak. The draft, his moves, his management. The good thing about Daryl is we love having him in the league. He's very active. I mean, you look at the number of trades he has. He calls people up. He contacts people. But as far as a plan, he never has one. It changes every week. He never sticks with anything.
Yeah.
He's destined to be at the bottom.
he's destined at the bottom, and we're not going to talk that much about Daryl, unfortunately. He has gotten some surprise years out of Fowler and Bird. He traded Fowler.
Nothing significant.
He didn't trade Fowler yet, but he tried to. Hisashi Irakuma, he needs more from Josh Johnson and Ian Kennedy, and he's got to dump Weeks, Dummett, Reddick, Herron, Johnson, and Volquez. And, just absolutely no shot. He's part of the field, all right? 2001, the field is 2001.
Richie, we're going to move on to the sleazeballs. Obviously, the Joe Bean Fund, which we've gotten a lot of money. Let's talk about this absentee owner right here and his team.
Joe and Phil Bean, we talk about this all the time. Just an absolute waste. I mean, really, we love them, and they are a fabric of this team, of this league, and they're important to the league, and they have every right to be in the league.
And Joey's won it before.
And he's won it before.
Multiple times.
He won it during the Spades era. He won it in the first year, and he was coming off a year in Rusty Zayas' last year, so that was back to back. So
Yep.
he has every right to
Bona
be
fide champion.
bona fide champion. Just a cuckoo.
Has a title with me as well.
He did pull off a couple of trades. The Pujols Reynolds trade, we got on him a little bit, and he did accept a counter offer. And when I look at that trade, I actually think that he gave away bad players, which is a good thing, because Mark Reynolds and Albert Pujols really stink.
And going nowhere.
Going nowhere. But Joey's odds and Sleazeball's odds and Phil Bean's odds were 1,000 to 1 pre-draft and 500 to 1 post-draft. And obviously those are the worst odds. And, I said they would come in last place, and they still have a shot to do that. But, just their airdrop activity and effort is very weak.
I think a lot of it with the sleazeballs is their reluctance to give up the good player
Yes.
to get multiple players. When they see that they're in trouble, they'd rather hold on to that player and die with them throughout the year. And obviously that's not a way you win a championship. The one good thing is they're consistent. They've been around 10th place the whole year, and they haven't really gone up or down, and that's probably where they're land. I mean, sad as it is to see, it just doesn't seem that Joe Bean is anywhere into it at all. He goes from week to week. He looks at it on Sunday. He looks at it again on Sunday. He does not go deep into the league. You have to study. This isn't, the 1990s? I mean, are you kidding me? Everybody's got information. You get 90% of your information from CBS Sports. No shot in the future. I don't know what he's doing, especially as frugal as he is with his money. I'm surprised he's still in the league, but he's a mainstay. I love to have him. I love having my uncle here. I think my uncle needs to start looking for a new partner, one that doesn't handcuff him.
Yeah, and speaking of handcuffs, I think Joey's getting handcuffed every night.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate
Thank
that
you
so much.
Really. Joey, I think, is getting tied up and whipped, and, you can't text him. I think he looks at the computer for a half an hour on a Sunday. You can't even get in touch with him. So he really needs to change his life, and that's why we have the Save Joe Bean Fund. And we're going to move on from Joey, but just poor roster management, no shot. Trade Adam Jones. Maybe you get 2 players for him. Trade Cliff Lee. Maybe you get 2 players for him. You see the difference between the McFlint and the Sleazeballs. McFlint tries. Unsuccessfully, but you got to try. Sleazeballs doesn't do it.
Rich, we're going to move on to Richie Stark and the Metropolitans.
Okay, the Metropolitans, 10th place, 63 points, basically holding 10th place since early June. 125 pre-draft, 150 post-draft. I talked about them competing well. in the league. This is pre-draft. You know, I wanted to see more energy from them, excitement, creativity, and innovation. You know, and we said he was like a rat in the back of the draft. You know what I mean?
Was.
Sneaky back there.
He made a lot of moves. You could see his team is not originally how it was. He's changed a lot of players. He's got a completely new team, it looks like. He made a couple trades. You know, he tried to be competitive. I don't think he went bananas with trying to compete in this league. He might have had some other distractions this year, but you want to know something? I love having him in the league. He's always got interesting players. He's always got an interesting plan. I just don't think this was his year.
No, we talked about the power and the average issues he was going to have. You know, was Gio an anchor? Closer issues with J.J. Putz. We called that right away. You know, poor draft after round 18. You know, Sotomayor, Profar, Martin, Capuano.
Right.
So just bad picks. Ryan, you know, Zach Wheeler waited too long
Not
for
his
him.
year. Not
his year. You know, and he had a good year for the first 6 weeks, but then he blew it. Reality set in.
Yep.
And that's what it's about. Reality set in, and you
The
need to have the
cockiness
skill.
wasn't justified.
Not
justified.
The cockiness wasn't justified. His pitches performed well. He made a couple of bad trades. Nothing big in the free agent market, and he's part of the field. He could have had Beltre instead of Bautista. You know, but Kluber has pitched well.
Kluber has pitched well. That trade actually worked out for him, even though, you know, you thought that trade was a little fishy at first.
Well,
it's good that Kluber
I just think that you got to take
Kluber
Beltre.
worked out.
I just think you got to take Beltre.
Yeah.
I mean, we all.
I don't know. You thought it was fishy.
Beltre's got 7 home runs and 13 RBIs, and he's batting .440 since that trade.
Yeah.
Batista's batting low 200s with 1 home run and 5 RBIs.
Sometimes
so.
that's how it works out.
Well, whatever.
We're going to move on to other nonsense, which is sometimes people mistake for Utah nonsense.
Yeah, I don't understand that. You know, Rob Wolf, I mean, honestly, Rob Wolf, and I'm going to say it right to your face in the video, it's an embarrassment, your performance this year.
That's bold. That's bold, because
it's very bold.
usually you lick his nuts.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going on here. Your operation is just radical and just no thought behind it.
A lot of action.
Lot of
action.
Frustration.
A lot of overaction.
Overreaction. And poor, I mean, no mentality behind
And Rich,
it.
what's this obsession with Giovanni Gallardo?
Giovanni Gallardo.
I mean, every year he has to have. I have to get Giovanni Gallardo.
Yeah.
You know, he has to end up on my team.
Yeah.
Him and Evan Longoria. You know, he has to have these guys. He loves them, and I think it's his downfall. Maybe he plays the name game with one guy. It's a man crush on Giovanni Gallardo, and for some reason he has to have him, and I think that throws him off.
I mean, and he had 25-1 pre-draft and 40-1 post-draft, and no significant dent in the
Very
free
high
agent
odds, dude.
The only guy
Very high odds, not justified.
Well, he deserved it.
Not just-
but he don't
no.
deserve it no more.
No.
He's in the lower bracket. I mean, he's not even
that's
in the upper
amazing
bracket.
to me. It's amazing.
You know what? Not by looking by the evidence. It's not amazing.
Known to be a brain guy. Known
I
to
don't
be
know
a
what's
great
going
thinker
on.
in this league.
Leonis Martin maybe or Kyle Loesch are the only two that he got out of the free agent market.
Yep.
That's nothing. He needs more from
dropping Rajah Davis for Rex Brothers.
Well, I mean, Rajah Davis didn't get the playing time until nothing.
I understand, but still, it's tough.
He's got to dump Moss and Cozart and Mark Reynolds and Heath Bell, and he needs more from Samardzija.
He's not going to get more from Samardzija on
He
the
needs
Cubs
it.
team.
R.A.
That team's not winning.
Just totally
R.A.
bad
Dickey's
moves.
not playing good in that bandbox.
You know, I just, you know, and then he forced himself into the counter offer for Pujols and Reynolds. I mean, Pujols and Reynolds, they suck. Listen, Rob, and again, you need to figure something out here because we don't know what's going on. I mean, obviously, this is low-class operation and below your capabilities. But, I mean, you have no shot. And I think that, you know, I think you're almost getting passed by the Mets, and that would bother me. So,
Yep. Rich, we're going to move on to the next team, which is MVP, Paul Scavello.
Paul Scavello, you know, the
Scavello.
steroid junkie, the tattoo junkie, the Guido Falconet, you know, and what I like about him is that
Well, you like his body. I mean, you admitted that last time, so let's just get that out of the way.
He's just, you know, Paul, I mean, I really love your energy, and I love your enthusiasm.
You didn't call it energy before.
And I love the fact that you are in there, and you're putting the gloves on, and you're putting a fight, and you're getting dirty, and you're not holding back, and you're trying things, and you're trying to change your team, and you forced the time zones into making a bad trade, and you took Bumgarner off for them, and all you gave up was Greeley and Moss, and they stink. You know, Greeley's good, but Moss stinks. You know, and you made the trade for Verlander, and you used the counter offer, and you got more instead of Liriano for Cespedes, and you gave us Cespedes, who flat out stinks. He's a .215 hitter, way overrated player, and I was so happy because that counter offer saved me from making a bad trade.
It did.
And, you know, I like his team. You know, Bryce Harper, Justin Upton, Will Myers added to this team. You know, I mean, you still got to get rid of Kevin Correa, but Matt Moore, Justin Verlander, I think
a lot of trades.
This is his first year.
First year, a lot of trades. He's not intimidated.
Not scared.
Intimidated.
He's not scared.
You know, he flexes.
200
Flex
flexes
is not
muscles.
intimidated.
201 pre-draft, 250 post-draft, and you know what? 78 and a half. And this guy's got one of the best rosters remaining.
Nate McLeod really worked out for him.
McLeod worked
Yeah,
out. He
McLeod
able to
worked
trade
out
him.
for him.
EY Jr. playing good.
Yep.
Will Myers. You know, he does need more from Cueto and Verlander and Strasburg and Hamilton and Starlin
I think
Castro.
he's getting enough out of Verlander. He's
But
getting
Starlin
enough.
Castro's just not what he is.
It's
So
you know
overrated.
what? It's on that Cubs team, and that's a losing team. It looks like that's why Garza's out of there.
I like MVP. And let me tell you something, Paulie. Don't give up because you have every right to move up. And you might get third, you might get fourth. You got a good roster, and you're doing a great job.
And if you feel like your stamina's waning, just give yourself a little
Yeah,
kick, and
pull
that'll
down your
push,
pants.
that'll push you for the next 10 weeks.
Stick a
believe
needle
me.
up your ass, and you know.
Time zones is the next team we're going to talk about. A team that you haven't been talking about lately because obviously you've put your foot in your mouth a little bit because they've fallen behind by the wayside. And you've made comments about DL players active and stuff. Why don't you expand on that?
Well, you know, time zones is at 90 points. So what's the problem here? You know, they've been basically, 2, 3, and 4 the whole year until this slight drop at the end of 6 or 7 plays.
Well, what is the problem? Because usually you were licking their balls before, but now you don't talk about them at all.
Well,
Why don't you explain that?
Because they're not.
I mean, it is what it is.
I am talking
You were
about
talking them up like they were the champions.
They are.
Learn from me.
They have every
okay,
right to do
bow down to the champions. I mean, they're hardly anybody that I would kneel down to right now.
Well-
I mean, in all honesty, I mean, maybe you would.
They-
But, I mean, can you explain
I
that?
could explain. They're the 2009 champ. They're the 2010 runner-up.
We're talking about past
They,
stuff
they have
now,
4 to
okay.
1 pre-draft, 3 to 1 post-draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, they dropped down. But let me tell you why. Okay, if I had to say why, they had too good of a draft. Okay, they kept most of their
They're
players.
too clean of a
They're
team.
too clean of a team. Okay, they maybe changed, and besides, they got Nelson Cruz in a trade, and they got Greeley and Moss in a trade. And other than those 3 new players, they have 4 different players on the team. So they haven't played in the waiver wire market that often. And I think that's their problem. They needed to look in there and make more changes. Right now their roster is not being operated right. I mean, there's guys on DL, Kemp and Moss and Walker, and they dropped Chris Archer and they dropped Will Myers a little too early. And right now their operation is poor. And here's what I think: the year off was a bad thing, and the fact that this is the most competitive year and they're not.
You don't
adjusting-
think that 3 brains comes into play?
I-
The triumvirate as far as a
No.
partnership? I've never heard of
I'm
a
disappointed.
3-partner team, but this apparently is
Well,
what it is.
The money's a little too expensive for them.
I guess so, but it's a little queer. I mean, how could you think
I mean,
with
600
3
divided by
brains?
3 people.
I mean, seriously, dude, aren't we grown men here? But
Yeah, I
anyway,
mean-
we're going to get off that topic.
I think injuries.
But how can 3 heads think as one? I think it's impossible. Even for the calm, cool, and collective Caradas, it's a little much.
Yeah, well,
And I think it leads to indecision.
I just think that they had too good of a draft, and the injuries are killing them. And even though you had a good draft, you still could improve your team in the waiver wire, and they haven't taken advantage of it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they're at 90 points, and they're still there, and we gotta like
Yeah.
them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They gotta like them. They're not out of it. They just gotta handle this DL situation. So,
Rich, we're going to move on to a team that is shrouded in controversy every year. It's the Bean team, the 2012 champion.
well, I mean, I could just start it off, and then you could continue about it. I mean, 2 to 1 pre-draft, 6 to 1 post-draft. Not many changes from the draft.
Not justified, those odds.
And it's 91 points right there in the race. You can't argue that. Coming off the title. 3 drops a week, 4 drops a week, always looking at the waiver wire, and that's part of improving. I did make some bad draft picks, but I also made some good draft picks. I do need more from Crawford and Arenado, but my trades have worked out well, and I found a sucker for Justin Verlander.
You did. You
know what
did
I
find
mean?
a sucker
And,
for Justin Verlander.
That was a good move.
Yep.
I gave up Masterson, who's still doing well for Frieri.
Yep.
So, I mean, the team, if you look at my roster now, I love the improvements. And give me, you can say whatever you want. I'm not in second right now. I'm not in third, but I did touch it. And the fact that I am the champ and I know what I'm doing has to scare people. But, I don't want to talk about my team as much as maybe you want to talk about my team.
There's not really much to talk about. I mean, it is what it is. It's a typical Richie Bean team, fooling around with the middle infield and stuff like that. You made some trades. You've also avoided a lot of pitfalls because of the counter offer that actually worked in your favor.
Yes.
And you were able to dump with your sweet forked tongue. You speak like a snake. But obviously taking advantage of a master strategist like John Torchio isn't really a big deal.
No,
I mean, obviously that's so easy to manipulate him.
Yeah.
And then he listens to me, the nice guy that tries to give him good advice, and he proceeds to dump him the next week. But we'll get to his team another time.
Yeah.
You've made some good moves. You haven't done anything out of the ordinary. God knows you've been saved by being able to almost giving away for nothing Dominic Brown and nobody had no takers.
Yeah, nobody
that
wanted
worked
him.
out
Did you believe it?
tremendously for you. I mean, the amount of stats that you got out of him. Obviously, you would have liked to have gotten more stats out of Lorenzo Cain, but Alfonso Soriano, the idiot I am, I ended up dropping him. You're getting very good
That's
stats out
his
of him.
performer for me. And I tried to drop him too. A few
I
times.
don't. You've made some good moves. I mean, you've picked up some good players. You know, like Alfonso Soriano. Francisco Liriano is a great pickup, and even though you tried to trade him, no one took him.
Jacob Turner.
You're getting great stats out of him.
Great numbers.
Unfortunately, this is not a first place team. You have a very outside shot. If all the heavens come to earth, that you can get it, but in all likelihood, you can't. You need about 1 or 2 moves away from being a championship team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to disagree.
Of course you will,
I
because
think
you're
I have
biased.
the ability to win a championship. I'm not saying I'm the favorite.
But you didn't say that the other night, so we're changing.
I'm
now.
not saying I'm the favorite, but I'm right there. I mean, I spent the day in second, basically, and my capabilities are endless. And, you know, I'm not going to make it easy. That's important.
No, you don't, especially because like you're shrouded in black controversy all the time, especially with various scandals, both last year, prior years,
no scandal
and then
last
this year as well. With the erasing of the messages and stuff, these are things we have to talk about. We can't let them go. You do run a good league, but there are some times that things don't go right, and the erasing messages scandal. And I'm not going to.
It's an accident.
I'm not going to. No, see, and now the line comes out, which has also been a part of the black clouds that have shrouded his championships in the past. And you know what? Now we have a good league. We're running a good league. You still have that little shroud of blackness to you. You know, you always have to have controversy. You know, we never win it straight, but we have a great competitive league. I think you got a shot, just not at first place.
Okay.
Hopefully we can correct those bad behaviors in the future, and we'll have a really good total league.
Nobody cheats, and that's all that matters. So.
Yeah, except one. Anyway, we're going to move on to another team, and that's a great team right here. And I'm going to let you comment on this team. It's Team Gem.
Team Gem. No, it's Pittsburgh Crawfords, I think we're talking about.
Okay, it's Pittsburgh Crawfords.
Well, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Crawfords, and I have to
Yes, it
commend
is.
them. I do have to commend them. Chris Dolan and John Coleman and the Almanac. We call them the Almanac Boys. And,
They are the
and,
Almanac Boys.
They have been steady the whole year. They're back up to 92. They did drop a little bit. I thought their attention might have been lost. You know, their pre-draft was 150 to 1, and their post-draft was 400 to 1. And, you know, I basically say that they were in one in first and second early on, and they got a little cocky. They have big egos to begin with.
They do.
Huge. But I like that. I
the
personally
gate.
like
Yeah.
that.
Well,
You know
that's
what I mean?
also a sign of insecurity. You have to come in feeling like you're overconfident and cocky, so this way you don't let people show your weakness.
I think
They
it's
don't
a-
want people to see the underbelly. They don't want to be the turtle like this, like the Pittsburgh Crawfords.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want you to know that, but that's exactly really how it is probably. But they've done very, very well, and you can't deny that from beginning to end. The moves that they made, how active that they are. If you look at their team, it's almost completely different than the starters that they started with. Yeah, we tease them about the Almanac. Yeah, we tease them about being cocky. Yeah, we tease them about not talking. But the bottom line is, they're there. We like having them in the league. Hopefully they have a better personality in the future, a more
I like
contributing
their
one.
personality.
I know you do, because you like bland and clean. But what we want this team back. We like them a lot. They're very competitive. I like their trades, except one that I made with them, but that's okay. I was forthright with that trade. That's my own idiotic mistake. And they've made some
And they
great
totally
moves.
took advantage of
Yeah,
it.
they totally took advantage
I
of
mean,
me, an
you know,
experienced person.
Well,
you
listen,
know,
sometimes the odds.
sometimes you
favor
got to let them do that so they feel comfortable,
Yeah.
and you know they come back. Wait, I thought we cut there. Anyway, they got great players in Lackey, Archer, Perez.
Patrick Corbin,
Pat-
great draft
yeah,
pick. reserve
Corbin
draft
was a
pick.
great
You know,
pick.
even Derek Holland and
Great
Max
pick.
Scherzer was a great
Absolutely.
pick. B.J. Upton sucks.
They needed more from Hamels, but you want to know something? He's starting to give it to
Yeah,
them. And I
let's
say,
couple
watch
stars.
out for this team. Do I think they'll win? No. Can they? Yes, they do.
Yeah, they've really been an awesome team to have
Yeah.
in there. Their skill level is exceptional, and I
Well,
kinda-
we got to give them 2 years
No,
to get
I
there.
think
Let's
they
not
have
get
a great
carried
skill
away.
level. I mean, they
Don't put their ball
yeah,
sack on
you
your
know,
chin just yet.
No, they are.
Let's
They
take,
got-
because that's
I love
4
them.
balls.
And I like
Remember
the
that.
fact that it's whatever. That's not balls.
Okay,
but
well,
they're not afraid to operate a team.
they're not afraid to put their balls on
You
your
know,
chin.
and
that's for
and
sure.
and you have to have you have to have an ego like they have to operate a team and go for it.
And you certainly need an
I mean-
almanac like that.
But you know what? You have to. I mean, look.
I mean, that's like
they
Linus.
manipulated you in the Henderson Bailey trade.
They sure did.
I mean, that was a great trade.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
but there wasn't manipulation.
How do
I
you
offered
explain
it.
that? You
I
offered it?
offered it because I'm the idiot for offering.
Look, Adam Lynn has panned out for them. You know, they got Troy Tulowitzki back. We knew he was going to get hurt. They got Evan Longoria. They got Starlin Marte. These are guys they added to the team. You know, Chris Archer was a great pickup. Homer Bailey, great in the trade. John Lackey performing. Patrick Corbin, they just traded for Kevin Gregg, gave up Paul Konerko. I love their operation. This is a good team. They're not going to go away, and they're one of the teams to fear.
Yep.
And they're going to be difficult. Again, another stat category integrity team right here. So
We're going to move on to the next team, and that's going to be, finally, I'm correct in saying, Gem, my own team.
You know, Jem was coming off a great year last year, and I expected a little bit more trades out of you, Tom. I mean, you only made 2 trades, and that's normally your style because you tend to rely on your draft because you're a good drafter. And, you know, I can't argue with you because you're at 94.5 points. You're right there. You spent some time in second
The
place.
odds are justified.
The odds are justified. 20-1 post-draft, 60-1 pre-draft. You know, you did give up Kershaw, which helped you out because Price was coming back, and it was almost like Kershaw for coming back.
Yep.
You know, because Price wasn't there the whole year. So you got Bruce and Alvarez and Hudson, and I like the move. I like the power move. But your pitching staff is what worries me.
Absolutely.
I mean, Travis Wood, Rick Porcello, Roberto Hernandez, Jeremy Hefner, Scott Feldman. I don't know if that's a staff of a champion.
Yeah, I know, but you neglect to forget about David Price, you know, so conveniently, and Craig Kimbrell conveniently, and Glenn Perkins conveniently. You know, you forget these dudes, and that's okay because it's a Frankenstein pitching staff, and my offense is ridiculously solid, and I have more leeway to move than a lot of people moving up. You know, I can't really go down as far. It's very hard to critique my own team, but if I were to say, without going into, you know, too much detail, you know, I'm getting great stats from some really good people. I don't even have to mention them. You could see it on my team. I do have a shot at first place, and
Yes, you
people
do,
obviously
100%.
know that. You know, you can look at the polls, what other people think. I'm not just saying this myself. Do I think I need to make a
The
move?
poll has
Yes.
you over Bistro.
You know what? I have no comment on that. You know, I'm sure Sal feels horrible about that, but I really don't want to make him feel bad. I just want to let you know, Sal, I had nothing to do with that.
Listen,
That's the public
it's the
speaking.
public
It's
speaking.
not me. I think you're going to beat me. You're going to win, okay? Don't listen to the public, okay? Don't think about me beating you. That has nothing to do with anything. You stay confident. You keep deep. Oh, never mind. I'm not going to get into that just yet.
Look,
And